Previously on C90 Adventures. So yeah, winter had hit, which was a surprise. The previous week we'd been camping on leaves, and now we had to knock snow off the tent. Of course, once we'd packed up and we started riding, we had a slight problem. Our smooth summer tyres. They aren't exactly grippy on ice, and any sort of braking just causes them to skid. Although the front brake froze solid anyway, so that solved that problem. But we knew we'd be alright, because we were powered by Honda. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, ice was proving to be a bit of an issue, and there was a lot of it. So I thought I'd film it for you. I mean, I've ridden on ice before. It's not like I'm going to crash, is it? In a word, yes. I am still recording! Of course, Honda 90's don't hurt their owners when crashed. In fact, it's actually quite fun. But eventually you have to get up and prepare to pick your bike up on sheet ice. Hang on a minute, c90's can't be that light. That ice isn't slippery at all. So yeah, the ice was that slippery, and we were both glad that our bikes were that light. The road surface kept changing though, and even though the sun melted some parts, it was still below freezing.
Oh! I can't feel my feet.
The temperature was now around -5 during the day and -15 at night. In fact, it wasn't long before the tarmac disappeared altogether and the only surface was snow. But then it was the 31st of October. Yeah, I was supposed to do a really cool power slide, but it didn't exactly work. But luckily Dave the Spider was okay. So happy Halloween everybody. I was now riding along wearing my modified helmet, and I'd like to now apologise to any Canadians that I scared on that stretch of highway. Somebody that I didn't scare though was this little guy. In fact, he even came over to see us. He was incredibly tame, to the point where the little bugger tried to eat my glove. He did give him the glove back though, but yeah, he just sort of hung around the bikes a bit, although I don't think he liked Dave. Eventually we said goodbye to Foxy and carried on our journey. Then around the corner we saw another unexpected thing. Another biker. Yark was his name, and he was riding his custom BMW sidecar rig, complete with custom sidecar for his dog. He was enjoying riding in the cold too, but still couldn't believe that we were only on 2 wheels. Eventually though, it was time for us all to carry on our separate journeys.
Bye.
So we were now very much riding on snow, camping on snow, and then riding on more snow. Now this could have got boring, but luckily Rach and I had accidentally invented a brilliant game called Honda 90 Bike Bowling. The rules are fairly simple. When there are no cars around, simply ride at 45 miles an hour, on ice, and eventually we'll start playing. I accidentally played 2 weeks previous, and now it was Rachel's turn. And what an effort.
I made an oopsie.
Rach had lost the back end, low-sided, done a 180, and then entered the snowbank backwards, which then high-sided the bike, catapulting Rachel off the bike, her flying through the air, and then landing all the way over here. She then earned bonus points for the "look what I did" pose, most amount of debris collected by a motorcycle, and a special award to the motorcycle for only suffering a bent foot peg, which was then fixed by hitting it with something. Once we hit the bike enough times to repair it, we were back on the deserted roads, trying to stay upright, and continued to pull over every time we saw a vehicle. And we also stopped in a town long enough for me to collect my winter gear that I'd had sent in advance from England. I was very glad of my Rab Expedition 1400 sleeping bag, an Exped 9cm sleeping mat to keep me warm at night, links in the description below if you're interested in what gear I use, I also got my insulated oversuit to go over my bike gear, and I gave Rach my Arctic coat so she could look like a sausage. A very sexy sausage, of course. So camping was now becoming more of a challenge. Sleeping wasn't too bad because of our awesome gear. Lovely and warm inside the sleeping bags. Nice and warm. And when your breath turns to ice on the outside of your sleeping bag, you know it's cold. -20 to be precise. -20 makes everything difficult, including cooking, because everything freezes.
I think it's frozen. Frozen. Frozen.
Don't tins always do that? What food have you made us today, Rachel?
Oh.
Got sausage in lumpy water. What are we going to do with all the sausage scum?
I think we can skim it.
Skim the scum.
Skim the scum.
Once defrosted, then you can fry the sausages. So lots of things get more difficult the colder it gets. Like one night at -25, we couldn't even be bothered to put the tent up and just slept in this shelter. When I say our gear is good, I mean it. But why didn't we put the tent up? Well, when it's that cold, your breath freezes on the tent wall and then falls on you as snow. Lovely. So there's snow inside the tent, outside the tent, and on the bikes. Lots of snow. And as it's now in the -20s, the rivers are starting to freeze over too. But not everything is frozen. We were at Liard Hot Springs, which is a very weird experience when the air temperature is -15 and the water is +45. In fact, because of the large temperature difference between the water and everything else, the steam given off freezes on anything it touches, creating some really cool effects. The hot springs are actually quite large, certainly big enough for a proper swim, and they eventually turn into a stream that feels like something out of a mystical movie. You continue to follow the stream as it gets narrower and narrower, until eventually it gets so shallow that you find yourself crouched down in tepid water with your hair starting to freeze. So you go back to warm up. Eventually you do have to get out though, which is probably for the best, because I think the sulphur starts to affect you after a while. Of course, once you're out, you have to deal with how to put your swimming shorts away at -15. Eventually I packed the shorts and we were on the road again. The surface was changing every day though. Some days beautiful clear tarmac, other days horrendous ice. And any time we tried off-roading, well, that was always chaos. So with off-roading clearly not going too well, we decided to stick to the roads and ride along looking at the beautiful scenery instead, and really cool ice formations. Some of them you could even eat. The going could be quite slow as we pulled over to warm up, admire the scenery, and take toilet breaks. And the weather continued to change too, with the road ice and snow melting into either water or slush. Which would then freeze back into ice, which the snowplows then cut grooves in, just to make it really dangerous for us. And this of course led to Rachel playing another fun game of bike bowling, this time with a championship winning effort sliding from here to here. It's safe to say that Rachel had some adrenaline pumping afterwards. Wow, she finished there.
I started all the way up there. All the way up there. down on my back like a tortoise a lot. I skidded quite far. Apparently on ice you slide for a really long time. So I went down the road like a tortoise, but quicker than tortoise because I was on my back. I did at one point think, when is this going to end? That's quite impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, nice little trench.
But I was fine because I'm dressed like Michelin Man.
Now Rachel was fine, but by this point we'd realised that something had changed. There was now traffic, and it was getting busier the further south we went. I'd worn out my front tyre and got a replacement off-road one, but without studs it was still just as useless on ice, and nowhere sold studs for our tyres. Crashing on empty roads is fine, but when there's traffic around, it's just not worth the risk. We were trying to work out a solution in a restaurant when a guy called Paul came over and started chatting to us. We then told him our problem, and he said he was driving his truck to Vancouver the next morning, and he'd give us a lift. Now, getting a lift does suck, but then so does dying. So we accepted the lift to Vancouver, where we knew the weather was warmer, the roads were clearer, and we could get studded tyres. Once we were in the truck and on our way, we realised just how lucky we were to get the lift. The traffic increased massively, and then the visibility just got downright dangerous. And if there was a little part of us that wanted to ride our bikes here, it went the second we watched the car in front of us skid into the back of a parked lorry. And that was the problem. If we didn't crash, a car driver could take us out anyway. I mean, if they can't avoid a parked lorry on a straight road, what chance do we have? So far we'd ridden 1,500 miles of Canada on ice, including the whole of the Alaska Highway. And although we didn't ride all the way to Vancouver, we were very happy to get this 300-mile lift to avoid death. So thanks again, Paul. You probably saved our lives. As we continued to head south, the temperature got warmer, even as the sun had set, and Paul continued to drive into the night, taking us to safety.
I don't think anyone's ever happy to be at home.
The next morning we were dropped 100 miles from Vancouver and were treated to the sight of grass. Actual green grass. If it weren't for all the ice formations by the side of the road, you'd think it was spring. But of course it was still winter. In fact, it was nearly Christmas. Do you like him? Potato! Of course he does.
Oh, got really hot. Oh. Stop. Stop it. Oh.
Of course, we then had to decorate our bikes to continue the Christmas spirit. Rachel turned her 90 into a reindeer and then went completely mental with fairy lights. Oh, yes.
Underlighting.
That is fast and furious. And while Rachel fitted a new indicator, I went one better. Turatech, I hope you're watching this. If this does not get you noticed on the road, I don't know what will. Here we have... So, Rachel's bike is lit up like a Christmas tree. I have a Christmas tree lit up like a Christmas tree. There we are. Obviously, in keeping with the Canadian Highway Code, I have white lights on the front of the tree, red lights on the back of the tree. However, we've seen Rachel's indicator. I have flashing baubles going at...
Would you like to go right?
Yes, can I go right, please? Flashing at 46 baubles per minute to make sure that I am not illegal. And yeah, that'll do, I think. So with our bikes fitted with as much Christmas as possible, it was now time to head out. And that, folks, is where this video ends, with us about to decide where to go next. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to click like and subscribe. I also thoroughly recommend Rachel's blog for a behind the scenes look at things. And as always, the PayPal donate button is on my website if you'd like to say thank you for the free videos. Every donation goes into the trips and editing, so you can help keep the videos coming. So, cheers!